Hello and welcome after a break. Yeah, I've been away for a while. I got a little bit burnt out on Minecraft, and I thought just to make sure that, well, to try and make sure that doesn't happen, I'd make sure I had some more games to the whole fold. And so I thought I'd start a new series. And this one is going to be a little bit different to Minecraft, but very, very similar games. You may have guessed it from the title of the video. It is, of course, Space Engineers, and we've got this beautiful, well, inside of an asteroid to look at. So, why Space Engineers? Well, I'm going to be playing it very, very modded in the same way that I play Minecraft. And if you have played Minecraft but haven't played Space Engineers, you probably owe it to yourself to take a look at it. It is in early access, and it has been out for, well, in early access for about a year now, I think, if I remember rightly. Certainly before Christmas and into the kind of autumn of last year. So, yeah, back to the point. Why Space Engineers? Well, it's a building game. It uses voxels, as you might be able to see from some of the detail, but it is quite different. Yeah, if we just turn around, ignore the little ship for a moment, and we head outside. Yeah, this is where we start, or at least this is one of the scenarios that you can start in. This asteroid is completely random, but everything else is, this is how you start with the asteroid scenario. And if I bring up the GUI, you'll see how we start with that as well. Space Engineers has been heavily developed by a lot of, well, by all the development team for over the last year, a great deal. They come out with weekly updates, and each weekly update, including the one last week, just as this was recording, adding oxygen to the game, we'll come back to that, has really enriched the whole thing. You know, it just adds consistent, new, exciting things to use every week, and it gives me opportunities to bring you exciting new content, hopefully more than every week. And we'll come back to that as well. So, where should we start? Well, we should probably start with the basics, but if you have played Space Engineers before, some of this is going to be, you know, pretty normal for you. You've already done this, so, you know, if you want to skip ahead, feel free to. I'm just going to cover the basics quickly, so don't worry about this being too long. You start out with this little ship, depending which scenario you choose. In my case, in solo. And from here, we can do a number of things. Let's turn my jetpack off, that's X. We've got a control console that flies the thing around. If I press T, I can move the ship and fly out and back in. I should note that if you are familiar with Space Engineers, by the way, I am playing this on ×10, so that is not the realistic setting, because it would be boring for you all to watch it on the realistic setting. It's very good if you're actually playing it, but again, like a lot of sports, not so exciting watching someone do it. So on ×10 and with ×5 for the tools, it's going to be quite fast in whatever we do. So we've got a flight seat. We've got a gravity generator that keeps me stuck to the floor when my jetpack's off. When it's on, I can go wherever I want. Med center, medical room. I can use that to recharge, and that's going to bring us the resources in a moment. And I've got a refinery and an assembler. Refinery just breaks down rocks into metals. Assembler makes them into, you know, basically actual goods that I can put in my own inventory and move around to build stuff with. And then finally there's obviously the building, which we'll come to. Cargo container just for storing stuff. This really is the kind of the minimum you can get away with to start off. Well, not quite the minimum, but it's at least an okay start. I prefer it if you didn't have to have all this to start off with, if you just start off with nothing. But unfortunately, you kind of have to be able to build at least some things, particularly like the med center, to be able to recharge. If you don't, and that comes to the resources, you're going to die. So if you look at the bottom right of my screen, you're going to see oxygen none. Don't worry about that. You'll see I'm wearing a helmet, and at the moment oxygen system is very early stage. Right now it doesn't do anything, but it's probably something we should bear in mind, because it probably will do something, and it's likely to have food and all kinds of other resources. But right now the only one that matters, if you look down there on the bottom left, is energy, and you'll see it's ticking down slowly, and the more I use stuff, the faster it's going to tick down. If I come over here, and interact with this, I can recharge my energy. Same thing happens if I sit in a flight seat. Nothing special, just have to sit in there and you can go AFK. But when you're in a flight seat, if you look at the bottom right, you'll see now I have other problems to deal with. One is power usage, so this ship, if I press my Y key to turn everything off, I can do that to save power, but then my personal energy won't recharge. So if I turn everything on, it's only 2% power usage, but that gives me 18 hours of fuel time. Not great, because if 18 hours pass and I don't do something, I'm going to die. So this is solo survival. This isn't creative, and I'm probably going to do all the builds I'm going to show you in this series in solo survival, even if they are hideously large. I have done large mining ships before, and this one is... Why is everything vibrating? This whole ship has got tremors. Why have I got tremors? Shouldn't be tremors, I'm not attached to anything. No. It's just deciding to glitch out. So the game's in alpha, early access, and we can start out with it. And there are a number of bugs that will, let's say, describe along the way. A lot of those may be fixed by the time you're watching this video, because you could be watching it far in the future, after, of course, subscribing and liking the video. Quick plug. But you could be watching this in the future and you'll be saying, ah, great, Esther, everything is sorted. There's no bugs like that anymore. But, you know, you do occasionally get these weird bugs, but not too many of them, very thankfully. So all I've done to start off the game before I actually come to here is moved into this asteroid, which again is random. But as you can see, there's lots of nice opportunities to build stuff in here. We'll come to that in a little while. You may have just seen a meteor storm, by the way, and this is one of the good reasons for hiding inside an asteroid. Every so often, if you turn the meteors on, from the direction of the sun will come meteors. As that, you know, kind of obvious. But if you're out here, out of the protection of an asteroid, or out of the protection of anything that can shoot the meteors down, you're going to have a bad day at some point. The larger you build something out here, the more likely you are to have a bad day at some point soon. So do bear that in mind. You can, of course, play without meteors, but hey, this is survival. What is it without a bit of challenge? So, at least initially, I think what I'm going to do is start maybe carving this space into some kind of hangar. This obviously is a nice natural hangar, but it's perhaps not quite big enough. This is quite a small ship by some of the comparisons that we're going to have to make. And there are other entrances perhaps for other hangars and for lots of equipment in here. So let's talk briefly about the game and its system. If we press G, we're going to get a menu, and it's taking a bit of delay there because I've got a lot of mods on the left hand side. When I'm using modded blocks, I will try to, you know, inform you about them. There's lots of really nice ones that's been done. It does have full Steam Workshop support, so you can just activate a mod just by subscribing, and it'll keep you up to date. And really nice system for doing that. Certainly it beats the days of Minecraft before FTB and other such launches came along to manage the mods for you. So everything in here, well, almost everything, is actually a constructible item. If you like, this is like your NEI of Space Engineers. And first thing we just want to do is just right click on the toolbar just to get rid of everything that's there. And I just want to go to the character tools and just drag in some of the default tools: the grinder, the welder, and the hand drill. And I think this audio was a little bit loud. Maybe I better lower that. Let me just. Okay, it just glitched. And now it's back to being low. Yeah, there's a bug. Anyway. So we've got the drill, we've got the grinder, and we've got the welder. We can grind down ships with a grinder, or any kind of blocks that we can construct, but we can't do that to the asteroid. That's what the drill's for, to drill anything from rock to iron, like that. And we got the welder, and that will construct objects. And there's looking at some of the tools that may be coming out. There may well be more of these by the time you actually get them, but for now, there's rumours about, for example, a manipulation tool. But for now, we're going to stick with these three, at least for the hand tools. And hand tools are okay to start with, but not the best long term or even short term. So you can obviously see iron popping up. That will pop up when you've got the drill out. You can see the different kind of rocks that you can get hold of, and the drill also has two modes. First mode, you just left click and it will start drilling. Well, like a jackhammer really. And you'll see that floating around. There we go. And you can press T. So one of the first tips is that when you're drilling with the left click, hold down T, because anything that appears like this you won't have to go chasing after. Most of them should just be pulled into your inventory. The alternative is you right click and that destroys what's in front of you. But it does it in such a way that you can quickly sculpt out, shall we say, the rock. So it's quite slow to do that with the kind of jackhammer approach to get some iron out. But if instead I right click, you'll see that's actually quite quick. And you'll see it's aligned in a square. That's the default. And that's probably the most useful of them. And one of the first things you need to do with any asteroid really is perhaps look at that, because this shows you the orientation of the grid that makes this, the invisible grid that makes up the asteroid. There's none of the Minecraft stuff where you see the lines on the grid, but it is easy to tell once you've actually started crafting a little bit. So what we probably want to do is, given the location of the entrance of this thing, we need to make sure that that face is kind of our up direction. So we're like this, and down is straight down there, which is that's pretty fine. I was hoping it wasn't going to be tipped like this or anything, and it's not, which is very good. So with that in mind, what have we got to do first? Well, we could keep using this ship as a mobile base. It does have very much everything we need on board, and it certainly was going to be needed for the energy to start with. But for everything else, this starter ship is not all that great. For one, and it's still vibrating. Let me show you the in-ship interface. Press K on a keypad or a control like this, and you can get to this interface where you got inventory, your personal inventory. If I was to do that on, for example, a cargo crate, press K, I would see the ship's inventory, including our remaining store of uranium, which is not very much. But on here, if I press K, I can then control, well, in theory I can control, maybe not with that. Let's try it with this up here. There we go. Yeah, if we go to here, we've got the control panel, and we can do a few things in here. First thing I'm just going to do is just add, just by shift clicking these, I'm going to add a group called thrusters. Press save, and then what you can do, if you go to the flight seat, you can do this from that control panel back there, but if you do this from the flight seat, press K then. I can then, G I should have said. You can then look at the groups, drag down thrusters to here, and toggle block on and off. So now if I press 1, thrusters go out, but if you look at the bottom right, everything's still running. It doesn't really change the fuel time all that much, but it should stop that vibrating. Yep, it stopped. Good. So as I was saying, we could use this as a mobile base, or I could recover this using a grinder. Like this. That's why it's on 10 times. It ground quite fast. It's normally quite slow. I could use that to basically recover everything from the ship and start building a base. Not sure which I'm going to do. I think I'm probably going to start recovering some of the ship. One of the important first aims is to really start constructing something, and then maybe another ship, or at least to reuse some parts of this one, or to add some parts onto this one to basically make a mining ship. Because these hand tools, they're okay, but they're not great. We want to collect a lot of this ore and perhaps build at least the start of our whatever station or base we're going to actually build into this opening somehow. So I'm going to do that off camera, or at least in the initial stages, just so you don't have to watch me go through a lot of mining. Be right back. Yeah. Just one brief note, by the way, if you're following along. And one of the things you can do, you may have noticed I've started cutting over there into the side wall. Just while you're actually mining and starting off like this, perhaps a good idea if I just move this over for a second. Oh, I need to turn the engines back on. If I just move over, just zoom in here for a second. One, this starter ship has a connector on the bottom which you can use to access all the inventory, which is pretty good. But the other reason I did this is that, if I just turn the engines off again, at the expense of using some of your energy and some of your uranium that's left, you can go into the gravity generator and I can increase the field height a little bit. What that will do, and I can probably decrease the actual amount of gravity, half a G will do, is instead of having no gravity outside, which it is over here, if I turn on my jetpack, if I pop in underneath the ship, you'll see there's gravity even outside the ship now. So every bit of ore that you drop, I can turn my jetpack off and walk around the surface now, which is incredibly handy for one thing. But pretty much everything that you actually now mine, let's say if I just mine up here and don't hold down T for a second, everything's just going to drop to the ground. I may need to drill a little bit more. See, it's all dropping to the ground. It's rolling a little bit because they're not quite aligned, the gravity with the down direction, if you like, but it's good enough and will save you a great bit of time. So, yeah, with that in mind, back to drilling. Alright, that's a bit of iron mined, and it has been processed. I've just dumped this in that connector up there. And if I just pop up with my jetpack, you'll see if I just drop some in, it'll get pulled in automatically. You'll hear the refinery spin up, and we'll get some iron out of it. To make stuff, just change to the production tab, and we're in the assembler here. At least we've only got one assembler at the moment. A lot of these are modded stuff, don't worry about those. To start off with, one of the most important things to make is steel plates. So it says at the moment I've got 0 available, but that's because it's in a different area. I think everything's connected. If it's all hooked up, this should start pulling in steel plates. Let's say we make 100. Yep, there we go. It's making 100. And importantly, I'll be able to pull those into my inventory. There's some in this cargo can, so I'll grab those. And it doesn't take very long at all. As opposed to the Minecraft way of you know, NEI and making the recipe by constructing something in a 3x3 grid. And this, you just have to make them there. Now these are subcomponents. They're kind of like, if you like, they're like the sticks and the logs in Minecraft. You want to take it to that. They used to make other things. So on the production tabs, make these subcomponents, and you want to then make the final thing. So if we press G, all of these things are what we're going to actually make. So the first thing we're going to start off with, down at the bottom right, is clicking on New Station. And you'll see I have an option here for where I should choose to place it. I don't have any colouring options on the new station, but don't worry about that. We'll come back to colouring. Yeah, so let's just start. We've got an ideal floor kind of level here. It's around about the same here as it is there. So if we chop out that area of rock, we've at least got some kind of floor level. We might have to expand it in future. So if I drop something there, you'll see I've got this outline, and this isn't a constructed part. This isn't actually finished yet. Don't worry about the clipping. If we then use the welder, now it's a completed part. As you can see, it's grey. If you don't like grey, well, first of all, a lot of Space Engineer stuff is grey, so you know, get used to it a little bit. But now I can drag this light armor block down onto my inventory bar, and I can instead choose a different color. If I press P, I can choose all kinds of HSV colors, or just press, you know, the defaults and then choose one. So for example, for now, I am just going to choose like a light gray color. And while I'm doing this, although nothing else is actually built yet, if I middle click, I can repaint any existing blocks that are already down. Importantly, when you've got colors, let me just put this down and you'll see. When I build this, the two are going to have connected textures, just like Minecraft more recently. That only happens when they're the same color though. So if you want like this edge to remain in like an edge, you probably going to just change the color slightly, and then you'll have those edges. So you can use those to indicate all kinds of things. But yeah, you have this kind of connected texture block. So I can then carry on. I don't have to construct these. I can just place them all, and it only cost me, I think it's 1 steel plate to place them. Yeah, I may have to dig out some more of this because oh, that's okay. That's not too bad. And you can just go over them and complete them if you want to. But remember that each one you complete consumes now 25 plates if you look at the bottom right. These building blocks, they're the basic light armor blocks and heavy armor blocks, are important because they also transmit power. There's no need for like separate wiring in Space Engineers. These will transmit power just fine. So if we look up here on the ship, you'll see there is a reactor, and that's actually connected to that block and this block. And I think they'll just pass the power through just fine. I'm not sure if it goes through conveyors, but it certainly goes through these light armor blocks. Yeah. Yeah, you can fix this ship up a little bit. It comes already dented, so, you know, just use your welder and you'll see the original shape of the ship once you use that a little bit more. You get used to this. And this damage, it looks fairly organic in nature, particularly this kind of thing. It does happen if you happen to ram your ship into all kinds of things. So just be a little bit careful. If you're not good at piloting, it's probably a good time to learn. It's not terribly hard. So yeah, we have those initial blocks down there, but station's no good really without some way to, to mine and to do all kinds of other things. Lots of more construction to go, a huge amount in fact. And to do that, it's a good idea to at least to have a station block down and then, built out with everything else. Stations are immovable, in case my pronunciation didn't come through, which means that you're not going to have any kind of wobbling problems on the station or vibrations or anything like that. And it also means, and this is just a little bit off now because of the direction, it also means we can use them as a base to start building ships off of. So if I go back to G again and go back to the bottom right, you'll see new small ship and new large ship. Ignore large ship. You will not have the resources for large ship. So what I usually do is start off with a small ship, and that's what we should do at the moment. And I'm probably going to need some other components. Yeah, construction components. Yeah. Let's just commission those. Production. Oh. Production. Construction components. I'm not going to need very many of them, but let's just make 10. They're usually very slow, but because I'm on 10 times, I can actually get them fairly quickly. Now, the important part about this is it's gone green now, is I don't really care about this landing gear. Most people actually still build ships with landing gear, and I can rotate them. If you look at the top right, you can see I can use page up and insert and page down, etc. to move things around. But I don't really need to use the landing gears for anything more than a temporary thing. So if I just drop this down for a second, it's not constructed. As you can see, I need to get some motors and large steel tubes. I don't care. This is temporary. It's the only starting block you can use for a ship. I wish it were otherwise. You can keep the landing gear if you want. They cause more trouble than they're worth at the moment. There are better ways of locking onto ships than landing gears. So usually what I'll then do is then just put a couple of light armor blocks. You'll notice they're smaller than these three. Well, let me explain the sizes. These, if I remember rightly, are about a meter per side. These are about 3 meters on a side. So you get 27 of those blocks inside one of these, 3 by 3 by 3. So when you're doing a small ship, they'll be this size. A station or a large ship will be that size. So just bear that in mind. That's why I may need to widen this hangar if we go to large ships. So a few of these, doesn't matter how many you actually go with. And then, because what we're going to do is actually just use the grinder to grind through them once we're done, and everything will just separate nicely. So then we're going to build a ship off this, and one of the first ships to build is a mining ship. So a few things you're going to need for a mining ship. It may sound obvious, but a drill, obviously. And there's my energy. At the bottom left, you see I'm low on energy. So when this is the case, just go and sit in your flight seat for a little bit. And I always get the wrong side of the ship. Yeah, so while that's recharging, just kind of interlude, really. What do you want to see from this series? Do you want to see particular builds? Because, you know, Space Engineers is a good one for that. There's lots of different kind of ships you can make, construction methods, all kinds of other stuff. Lots of conveyors and tubes and automatic manufacturing, all that kind of stuff. What do you like? You know, feel free to leave comments below. Obviously, like and subscribe if you like this video, but comments mainly. Obviously, it's the start of a series, so tell me what you want to see. If you've got any questions, again, obviously leave those below as well. And I'm back up to 100% energy, which I can just go and run out and keep on going. Okay, so next bit, really. Yeah, I wonder. Yeah, why not? Let's actually start by putting a cockpit in. You can search using this box at the top right. I'll just start typing, really. And there are a number of them. This is the boring old one that was started originally back when Space Engineers came out. This is also part of Space Engineers now, but it is it was originally a mod, I think. It was originally this, the Azimuth one, and it got brought into the game. So I think that's what happened anyway. So you'll generally choose one of those two, and yeah, let's just choose the boring old one for the moment. And we're going to drag a few more things down there as well. Second of all is a drill. And there are a few of those possible. Hand drill, tiny drill, and drill. In this case, I'm just going to choose the... Those are nice, but they're modded. So let's just use the vanilla ones. And what else do I want? I want a reactor, for one thing. Small reactor. I want some gyros. That just helps things rotate. If you don't have those, you're also in for a bad time. Some thrusters. Small thrusters. In fact, I may well look at some of these modded ones for thrusters. Some really nice options there. So, at the moment, small armor thrusters. Yeah, I think I may well go for some of those. Okay, so the most important things when you're going to build a ship, you're going to need a cockpit, you need a source of power, and you're going to need thrusters. And if you look here, well, you'll be able to see that a little bit better. Let me just change off that for a second. You'll see I've got thrusters pointing back. You're also going to need thrusters pointing forward, because otherwise you can't slow down. They're there. You also have thrusters pointing left and right, and up and down. That's a minimum. If you don't have those, one of your directions are not going to work. So when you're in the ship and you're turning on your inertial stabilizers, which is something I should demonstrate for the moment, if I just turn on the engines, if I hit the Z key, it turns on the inertial dampeners. And what happens is if that's off, let's say I just tap reverse a little bit, everything's going to keep moving backwards, even though I'm not actually touching any keys at the moment. Inertial dampeners, and the ship automatically comes to a halt if you stop touching the keys. And it does so in a much better way than trying to do that manually yourself. So if you're ever stuck and about to crash, make sure you turn on the inertial dampeners and let go of the controls. That's an important tip. And I'll take the opportunity while I'm doing this just to realign this a little bit. And move up a little bit. There we go. And there was one of the meteors just flying past the entrance, which could have destroyed us if we did otherwise. So yeah, just bear in mind all these engines. You're going to need all the the cardinal directions covered with thrusters. And you're also going to need gyros. That object on the back, just to the left of the right thrusters, the right back thrusters, I should say, circle, kind of sphere, sorry, in a cage is the gyro. So they look a lot like that. I'll leave engines on for now. So, yeah, there's a few ways of constructing your first ship. We can start out with the cockpits. I'm going to need probably a platform to stick it onto. So, just temporarily, let's just put these on. And I'm going to need interior plates. Yeah. Something you're probably going to have to just deal with when you're starting out. Just build the kind of bare minimum that you need because you won't have many resources. Iron will certainly help that, but so you can always go and get more. But a lot of the more advanced stuff needs other metals, and we are about to find that. So if you look, that's going to fit just fine. There we go. And we can complete it, and we're going to need to complete this one. But as you can see, it needs more construction components and motors and displays and all kinds of other stuff. So don't worry about it for now. We are also going to need the drills, and they're going to be put on the front somehow. You can make a really tiny one just by doing something along the lines of that. And if you wanted to, you could use that as a starting point. There wouldn't be any harm to doing that actually as the first build. You know, it's going to be the the cheapest possible mining ship. Yeah, which is okay. That'll do. I need some more metal steel plates. Production. Let's make another 100. You will use those. No danger of wasting. What you're also going to need is a cargo container. And it's going to be a small one, I'm afraid. So, or maybe medium. See what size they are. Yeah, it's going to be medium. Now, here's the important part. You see the two different sizes of ports there? One on the left is a huge one. The one on the back, at the moment, is on the back, is a small one. Any ores can go through the small size. Any components, like the ones we've been making, steel plates, etc., need the large size. Bear that in mind. Also, small won't connect to large. Just some things to keep in mind there. So we can rotate again using the keys that it tells us we can use. And important here is that perhaps that the port in the middle here is at the same level as the port in the drill at the front. I think that's right. Okay, and generally then you will want to add something to the back to connect it up. Now, of course, we've got a connector here, so you can just attach another connector to the back. If you don't do this, you will have to manually move by hand the stuff out of the ship. That's a slim connector. That's one of the modded parts. I may well do that off camera. So there we are. Rotate around. And again, this has a large connector on the back of it. There you see. And I'm going to face that to the large connector on the cargo container. There we go. It has small ones on the side, but they're not important for this exercise. So what we're going to do is go from the drill out using a conveyor, which we'll come to in a moment. Let me just add some more stuff to this. There's the port, you see. We're going to have a conveyor coming out this side. We could put one on the other side as well, but it doesn't really matter. Into the cargo can. Cargo can has a large port which will connect into the connector, and then the connector can connect onto the bottom of this ship, or any other ship really, or even the station once we've built it. Simplest possible small ship. We then need to add to some other parts to it, including the thrusters. So we're going to have to add some thrusters pointing backwards and forwards and all kinds of other ways to do that. I'm going to do that off camera because it's a bit laborious, and then maybe completing all these as well. Computers and motors and displays. I'm going to need to hunt for some other metals, and that's something worth telling you about. Obviously, you've got iron here, but we're going to need other metals, and at least to start, it's maybe better to actually scout around for those. I've started a fairly dense area. There is what looks like nickel, which is one of the things that you may need. There's some gold, which you definitely will need for the computers and motors. And the other way to do this, by the way, is to break down the components of your starting ship. I'm not doing that for the moment, but you can do. So yeah, there's some gold, silicon, and nickel. And all of those are needed for the, well, certainly the gold and silicon is needed for the displays and computers, and the gold, etc. is needed for those two. That should be enough, at least to start off with. And if I can find the silicon... Is that silicon? Is that rock? Stone. Yeah, that's rock. Is there a way to get to the silicon without going through the center? Hopefully there. You see the texture change a little bit? That's silicon. It is! Good. Okay. And an important thing to do, by the way, if you haven't done this already, depending which scenario you start on, your home ship may have a beacon, or your home station may have a beacon, depending on how you start. But if it doesn't, what you want to do is go to your control panel. Whoops, that's not control panel. Press the K button, go to GPS. Just click on New from current position. Let's just call that home. It's fine. So we got a home in that position. See? So no matter how far I get away, I know my way back to this asteroid at least. If you lose your ship, if it disappears, any kind of other glitches, you'll know your way back, and you can get there from anywhere around. Good news. So I'm going to go and just process that metal now and complete this a little bit more, and we'll come right back. So there we go. All the thrusters are on. These are the modded thrusters, angled ones on 8 and 9. These ones. They look pretty good. They blend in much better than the default ones. The default ones look like that. So you have a square block with a cone sticking out of it. These blend in much nicer. And you'll notice I've pretty much surrounded it and used angle blocks. These are the ones I've got on like 5 ramp, 6 the corner, and 7 the inverted corner. Whoops. So now we just need to complete this with a couple of things. One, just note I've got an ore detector there. That's something to make sure you have for a mining ship. And we also want, actually want to place some conveyors. There's quite a few modded versions of these. The ones you're going to need are going to be small conveyor tube and the curved section small conveyor tube. There are other modded ones that I'm not going to cover just yet. We're going to stick with mostly vanilla stuff apart from those thrusters because I really like them. Anyway, we want to connect the yellow parts together. So in this case, I want that in one direction. Helps if I can get these the right way around. There we go. Like that, and the inverse, which is that one, and then the rest is quite simple. I'm just going to make them. And of course I'm out of construction components again. And motors, I think it was as well. I picked up some more metals, as you can probably see here. I've got most of them. In the asteroids starting thing, you'll probably end up with asteroids around you containing most of the metals. An important one to get some a little early anyway is going to be uranium. So make sure you pick some of that, just because you're going to need some for this ship. There we go. And just as a brief note on top here, I've got a gyroscope, but I've also got a reactor with an accessible port facing outwards. You do want that to be facing outwards, just in case things go wrong. You could actually put uranium back in. You see everything goes yellow, meaning everything's connected. And I'm going to go and do the other side off camera and then fill in some more things. One last thing to probably do here is, bear in mind, by the way, the thrusters cause damage to anything they're facing. That's why they're in this particular configuration, just so they're not facing the conveyor or anything. I think it's about 5 blocks. The large ones do. I can't remember the small ones, but I needed at least one light. Spotlights. But I can see them. There they are. That block's going to be knocked away, and I can't put it there. What I could do is put one there. One there. And they are quite strong lights. You can change the colours in the control panel, but that's a good start. Just so you can see what you're going, what you're pointing at. Should I do the other conveyor? Yeah, why not? I think I'm pretty much done otherwise. Interior plates. When am I not short materials? That should be solved pretty soon. Yeah, where are you? There you are. Don't strictly need this side, but yeah, just in case. And yeah, I should have control now. I can pretty much see everything I need to. So what I'm then going to do is grind away that block. And if I press V, there we go, my mini miner. Mini miner. And I'm probably need to move the ship so I can attach to it. Or put the port somewhere else. But if I go into groups now, well, actually, I don't need groups because I've only got one of them. Drill. Toggle that on or off. If you want it to be manual control, you can drag it from the tools. The difference there is if I press the left click, it's going to be a hold down left click to keep the drills going. Or if I just tap one, it's going to turn them on. I don't have to hold down the controls. You'll see everything's vibrating at the moment. That's pretty normal with the first small ships you get. They are going to vibrate all over the place. That's can be helped a little bit by using heavy armor, but it's probably not worthwhile. At the very beginning of the game, just build something that will stop you having to use those hand tools. And similarly, in pressing G, I can, yeah, let me just actually, I can create groups. Thrusters, I can create a group for those if I wanted to. I wanted the lights. Let's create a group for those lights. The groups appear at the top, which then, if I press G, will appear in groups. I can drag that down and then say toggle block on and off. So I can press 3, turn my lights on and off, and want to turn the drill on. So with that in mind, you can just drill away, and in this case, actually, I want to make sure I don't drill where I'm not, not wanting to. So in this case, I actually want to take out all of this. I'll have to move things around. Don't worry about it for now. I'm just going to try and control this. It's a little bit too Fine. Oh my. I may have to amend this. At least to start once it starts cutting through rock. If I just leave the controls there for a second and go to the control panel, in inventory you'll see that the drill is getting some iron and it's passing through into the medium car container, and that will in turn pass through the connector once everything is docked. So if I just do that for a second, turn that off, get out, and let's just move this ship so that I can do that. I don't have the largest amount of space here. See if that's enough space to get this tiny miner underneath. Yeah, that'll be fine. And it's also fairly easy to expand this little design, all these thrusters, into something that can be a little bit better. For example, you could use multiple drills with a different front end, etc., and it would work pretty well. So yeah, when we're doing this, we're just going to line up a little bit roughly. And yellow, it's now docked. We need to press P, and now everything is connected, which means that it's very likely, that my medium cargo container has been emptied, the refinery's taken it and processed it already because I'm on times 10. Oh, sorry, it's in the queue to be processed. And that's all you need to do. When you're ready to go out again, unlock, push forward, and if it'll resist a little bit, but as long as you've got enough engines for your ship size, it will move away just fine. So there we've got, in the first episode, just an introduction and a first mining ship, which it's pretty good. I like it. Let me know what you think in the comments below, like and subscribe, and let me know what you want to see in future episodes. Thanks for watching.